Hello and welcome to my rooftop container garden. Last year was my first time ever trying to grow any kind of plants in this space, and I had so much fun learning and exploring and documenting that whole adventure, and this year we're gonna do it again, but this time bigger and better. So this is a 4th floor rooftop deck in New Jersey, Zone 7B, and I definitely have like a bit of a microclimate going on here. It is very hot up on this deck and we have really intense winds, which presents a lot of challenges. It's also one of the reasons I'm using this microphone today, so hopefully my audio is not going to get super messed up by the wind and the construction. I've also given up on my hair looking good for this video because the wind's just gonna blow it around. But anyway, even with all those challenges, this has proven to be quite a great environment for the kind of plants that I want to grow. I am a textile artist, so I weave, I spin my own yarn from scratch, I love to dye things. So largely my goals are to literally create my own art supplies, to maybe have some fun snacks up here, and also just to grow things that generally make me happy. So for this video, I thought it would be fun to show you around and to introduce you to all of my little plant friends. You'll notice that my garden layout is pretty much just like a row of plants along this back wall. So let's start right here. So here to my left, I have the first of many plants that I'm using for dye. This is a madder plant, which is a plant that's historically been used to produce beautiful red pigments. I actually started this plant last year from seed, and the little quirk with madder is that you actually need to let the plant grow and mature for 3 years before harvesting the red dye, just to get like the best, strongest, brightest red color. So my mission after starting this plant last year has just been to keep it alive, and I'm actually really pleasantly surprised that it actually is still alive. We had a really nasty snowstorm this winter. It was like record-breaking levels of snow here in New Jersey, and I thought for sure my madder was a goner, but it not only survived, I think it is thriving. I don't know if you could see, it is literally pouring over the sides of this barrel right now. And it's still so early in the season, so I have a feeling this is just going to keep growing and growing. So normally when you dye with madder, you use the roots, but I am worried I'm going to get a little bit overwhelmed with madder leaves just because it's already becoming so aggressive. And I tried looking up online to see like, do the leaves themselves actually produce any color? And I kind of got inconclusive results. I did find a couple blogs where people mentioned that you could dye with the leaves, but I couldn't actually find anyone's dye results with them. So I was thinking maybe if these leaves become overwhelming, I might just chop back some of them and see if I can give dyeing with madder leaves a try just to see how it goes. Definitely let me know if that's something that you would find interesting. So yes, my beautiful madder plant. And I do have another one on the other side of the deck that I'll show you later on. Next to it, I have this little guy right here, and this is a pineapple mint. I love mint tea, and I found out about all the mint varieties that exist in the world, and I just knew I wanted to try to get at least one funky mint for my rooftop. So I went to a garden center and I tried a couple of them, and I decided that pineapple mint was my favorite. I don't know if necessarily, like, if I break off a leaf right now and give it a sniff, I don't know if I would say, oh, this is definitely pineapple, but it's definitely mint with like a little bit of a fruity tropical kick to it. I love anything tropical in terms of flavors, so for me, this is perfect. I'm probably gonna make some tea with it, maybe put it in a cocktail. I don't know. I just love it. It smells so good. It does prefer not being absolutely blasted by the sun, so I do kind of like tuck it in here and let the madder kind of cover it up a little bit. And then this big guy right here, this is my raspberry plant, which I did buy last year from a garden center, and it did survive, which I'm so happy about. Last year I got so many raspberries, and the plant was just like totally out of control. So I looked up like how people manage their raspberry plants, and I learned about trellising them. So this year my raspberry has a trellis. It's already looking so much better, and it's already producing so many baby fruits, which I'm so excited about. I love raspberries. They just feel like such a little treat, especially because they're so expensive in the grocery store. So I'm really looking forward to coming up here, getting some nice handfuls of berries, and just enjoying its presence on this rooftop. And then down there, that's my emotional support chrysanthemum. So very early on in the spring season, it was still too cold for any of these plants to actually turn green yet and start producing leaves, but warm enough where I could come up here and actually like enjoy my rooftop space. So things were kind of looking sad up here because it was just a bunch of pots of dirt. And I just wanted to bring a little bit of color to this space while I was waiting for everything to like come back to life. So you'll see around this rooftop, I bought a couple different potted flowers just to like bring some color and some joy. So this chrysanthemum is one of them. I wanted to try different flowers just to see like what would actually be happy up here. It's kind of like an underlying theme of this whole gardening thing is I'm basically just running a bunch of experiments to see what will thrive, what will be happy, what will not be so happy. So I got a couple different potted flowers. These are my chrysanthemums. They're really beautiful, but I have noticed that they've faded quite a bit. They used to be really bright pink and super vibrant, and after being exposed to these rooftop conditions, they're looking a little bit paler. And I don't know what that means. I'm wondering if maybe this is just like the blooms that are already on there are just kind of suffering a bit from this heat. Maybe they'll make some new blooms that'll be bright again. So we'll see how this guy does throughout the season. Okay, onward. So here we have another dye plant in this blue pot right here, and I actually grew a bunch of these from seed. These are Hawaii marigolds. Marigolds are another dye plant that have been used for many, 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 many years of human history to create really, really rich and beautiful yellow dyes. And I just thought it would be fun to give it a go. So like I said, I bought a seed packet from Grand Prismatic Seed, which is pretty much where I buy all of my dye plant seeds at this point, and I've had really, really good success with them so far. They went from seeds to seedlings, and now they're these beautiful leafy plants that I've kind of been like cramming in every single available spot on this rooftop. So you're gonna see, like I said, quite a few of them here. I'm hoping that they're gonna produce very big, bold, bright, beautiful yellow flowers. I'm hoping that it'll make the pollinators happy, and I'll come by, snip off those flowers, dry them, and then collect enough, hopefully, to make a pretty substantial dye bath by the end of the season. That's my goal. And then here I have a new addition to my rooftop, and that's this purple green stalk planter. I feel like every gardening YouTuber on this platform has these green stalks, and I was totally influenced to try one out. I waited for a moment where Greenstock was having like a very, very big sale, and I snagged one in this purple color, which is so delightful and just like such a fun little pop of color to have on this roof. Okay, so let me explain what's in here. So if you were following my garden journey last year, you'll know that I had a little strawberry runner that I pinched off from a plant at a Home Depot garden center, and I put in my pocket, and then I grew here on my roof, and it produced tons of strawberries. And then it started producing its own runners, and eventually I had a whole bunch of strawberry plants. So I was like, okay, I need like a home for these strawberries. So that's primarily what this green stalk is gonna be for. So right now that one strawberry runner has turned into 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 strawberry plants, which is so cool. And these 6 strawberry plants are just going to keep making more strawberry plants. So my goal is to just let them do their thing and eventually fill all 18 of these pockets. So eventually, hopefully, I'll have 18 beautiful strawberry plants. In the meantime, since I only have 6 plants, I've been filling these little gaps that are open with whatever else I can think of. So right now, a lot of these actually have baby radishes in them. Radishes are super quick growing. It's like a delightful little thing to just like put in the ground. You wait, I think like 20 or 30 days, and then you get to harvest this beautiful little tasty treat. So I figured they could occupy these empty spaces for just that short period of time. I can harvest them, and then if a strawberry runner is then ready to occupy that spot, I can just put one there, or maybe I can just plant more radishes. And then on this bottom row right here, I actually have indigo plants. I actually had no intention of growing indigo plants this year. I grew a whole bunch of them last year, and I had a beautiful time experimenting with them. I started them from seed. I let them get huge and bushy. I chopped them down to do some fresh leaf indigo dyeing, which created a beautiful turquoise blue. I actually have a video all about that project here on my channel if you want to check it out. I'll link it down below. So I did one big blue project with my indigo, and then I ended up chopping down the plants a bunch more times so I could undergo the whole vat making process. I know that a bunch of you are curious to see like how that vat turned out, and truthfully, I haven't actually finished it yet. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that, but basically what happened was I started the whole process. I chopped down my indigo, I started fermenting the leaves, I got to the point of having a pigment. I repeated that a couple times, so I have a whole bunch of indigo pigment, but that pigment has just been sitting on my countertop ever since. And the reason for that is because when the season was over and I had that huge jar of pigment ready to go, it already started getting really cold. Like winter was fast approaching this year. And for indigo vats, I've been told that you kind of need a warmer climate and warmer environment to have the most success. And since it was my first time doing it, I kind of just wanted to like eliminate any potentially confusing or problem-causing variables. So I basically just set that pigment aside, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a 2026 indigo vat. So I do still plan on doing it, and I'm very, very excited about it. And now the weather's warming up, I'm probably going to get that going sooner than later. But that's just why you guys haven't seen like my official indigo vat dyeing video yet. But like I said, it will come soon. Anyway, that was like a whole tangent just to explain my indigo situation. But basically what happened was, because I had all those indigo plants in that bed over there, which I'll show you, they ended up producing a ton of flowers and producing a ton of seeds. And then this season, when the snow started melting and spring started coming, I was just overwhelmed by baby indigo plants. They were just absolutely everywhere. I think I literally had thousands of baby indigo seedlings. Most of those unfortunately did end up becoming a part of my compost system, but I did keep some of the strongest, healthiest looking ones, and they are now occupying this bottom row. And like I said, I like running experiments. I just want to see if indigo can actually be happy in a green stalk, because I was able to fit 6 indigo plants on just this bottom tier, and if indigo proves to like this kind of a growing system, I can grow a pretty substantial amount of indigo in one of these and make some very serious dye vats in the future. So let's just see how they do. Okay, the wind's picking up. Let's go to our next spot. So I'm taking a seat on basically what I've been considering my little garden shed. Like, this is literally just a storage box that I put up here, and it's really the only storage I actually have on this rooftop, and I love this thing so much. Everything lives in here. It serves as a potting table, it serves as an occasional bench, and I just love this thing. Anyway, back to plants. I have in front of me here a beautiful husky cherry tomato. So when we first moved to this property, we had literally nothing up here on the roof for the first season that we lived here. No furniture, no tables, no pots, nothing. But I did have one husky cherry tomato plant that I bought at Home Depot. It taught me a lot about these rooftop conditions and how to actually grow something up here when we're battling the sun and the wind and just the general chaos of a rooftop. The following year, last year, I ended up buying another one of these, and it just brought me so much joy. So this is husky cherry tomato number 3, and I love this plant. I literally just buy these at Home Depot. They come this size, already flowering, already starting to make tomatoes. And again, similar to my emotional support chrysanthemum, this one I feel like is kind of serving a similar purpose. It's big, it's beautiful, it's leafy, it's producing flowers and producing tomatoes, while everything else in my garden is still like just kind of starting to get going. So I just love having this here, and the tomatoes that it produces are beautiful. They're like maybe an inch in size, bright red, absolutely delicious. It's just like a joyful thing to have up here. So here in my wooden raised bed, I have quite a few different things going on here, but the main feature are my gourds. I stuck this A-frame trellis on top of this wooden bed, and on one side I have a wren house gourd that's slowly starting to crawl up, and on this side closest to me I have a mini bottle gourd. And I specifically picked these 2 gourd varieties because these are the ones that are used in crafting. So my understanding of how this whole gourd thing is going to work is that I'm going to spend all summer keeping them alive, helping them make their gourds, pollinating their flowers with a little paintbrush, and helping them climb up over this big trellis. Then over the winter, I'm going to let the plant die and the gourds just like sit on the vines. What's then going to happen is that the actual like fleshy parts of the gourds are going to dissolve, disintegrate, get eaten away over the course of the winter, and what's going to be left is a hard-shelled gourd that then I can make things with. The wren house gourds are traditionally used to make birdhouses, as the name implies, and the mini bottle gourds are kind of like too small to actually make something functional, but are still really cute to have around. So my thought was like, I could maybe learn how to carve them, I can maybe make some bowls, I can make some birdhouses, I can just make some like little decorative objects and just kind of see how it goes. This is another one of those experiments where I have genuinely no idea how this is going to go and if I can even pull it off. But if I even get like one gourd to grow this season, I will be like the happiest person ever. So let's see what happens. So right now these 2 gourds are occupying a very small portion of this bed. Apparently eventually they're going to become giant monsters and just like take over this whole thing. But in the meantime, I just have 1 gourd here and 1 gourd here, and the whole middle section of this bed was completely empty, and that kind of just felt like an opportunity to try something. So I decided to start from seed some like really quick growing crops that will be removed from this bed by the time these gourds actually need that space. So I have turnips, I have beets, and I have carrots. I think for the most part, these need a little bit more time before they're ready to harvest, but they'll be ready soon, and I'm really excited to pull them out and make some roasted veggies. And I am really, really looking forward to this just becoming like an absolute mess of gourd leaves and vines and flowers and baby gourds, and I think it's gonna be so much fun. Okay, that way. So next to my gourd bed, I have 2 more pots of those Hawaii marigolds, which I'm going to use for yellow dye. I have 2 in this pot here and 1 in this pot here, and they seem to be doing pretty well. Then here in front, I have a beautiful petunia. This is my emotional support petunia, and it is so vibrant and so beautiful, and it actually seems to be having a great time up on this roof. You'll notice I picked a lot of like pink flowers with my little like additions, and that's mostly because a lot of the plants I'm growing are creating yellow, red, and orange flowers, and I thought the pink would kind of pair nicely. This is also just one of my like all-time favorite colors, this like electric magenta that's like so magenta it feels like it's glowing. So when I saw these at the garden center, I was like, yep, those are mine. So we got marigolds, we got petunias. This mint colored pot right here with the green trellis is actually empty at the moment. That doesn't have anything in it. And that's because one of my friends texted me this picture and was like, I have a surprise for you. She got me a sponge gourd, aka a loofah gourd, and that's the kind of gourd that is used to create natural loofahs. So loofahs aren't actually made of sponges, they are made from gourds. And now I might get the chance to grow one of those gourds, which I'm really, really excited about. So that will be the home of a loofah gourd. Then behind me, I have a cherry tomato plant, and this is actually one that I started from seeds. This cherry tomato is called Barry's Crazy Cherry, and I found this one as a recommendation from another YouTuber. So one of my all-time favorite people on this platform of YouTube is Jess of Roots and Refuge Farm. I've been following her for like, I want to say over 7 years. Like, I've really been like a very big fan of hers for a very long time, and she's one of my big gardening inspirations. She actually has this beautiful saying that I totally live by that's turn your waiting room into a classroom. And while I was in my waiting room period of gardening, you know, living in Manhattan, going to FIT, I couldn't grow a single thing in my living situation. She served as an amazing resource and an amazing classroom to me. And one of her things is that she just loves tomatoes and tries every single variety that exists on the market. And this was one that she very highly recommended, and it actually seemed like it would do well on my roof, so I thought I would give it a go. It produces these really beautiful yellow cherry tomatoes, so I figured with my husky red combined, it would make for a really beautiful tomato harvest. So we'll see how it does. So far, it's looking a little bit heat stressed. That's definitely something you might notice amongst all of my plants on this rooftop. We had a really big heat wave pretty much immediately after I transplanted these guys. So a lot of my plants are looking a bit crispy, and I'm hoping this tomato pulls through and I'll have a beautiful harvest this year. So yeah, tomato, marigold, petunia, loofah gourd. Let's go there. So here in this little blue pot, I have some Jolly Jester marigolds, and I actually also started these from seed too. I was just at my local garden center and I saw the seed packet of these and saw how beautiful and striking they look with their red and yellow stripes, and I thought, okay, I have to try them. My thought was that they're marigolds, so ideally they should have some dye potential, just like all marigolds do, and maybe those stripes could kind of be used in a fun way. I don't know, maybe I could like press one of the flowers and then use it in like an eco printing to try to transfer the exact flower design onto some fabric. I don't know. I have to look at what my options are as these flowers grow. Even if they don't serve as like an actually useful dye source, I just think they're really cute. I'm really excited for these plants to grow up, to get bigger and bushier and create bigger, brighter, bolder flowers. And I think the stripes are just so darling. So yeah, Jolly Jester marigolds. And then right here I have these, I think are called super bells. And unfortunately you're seeing them right now in front of me when a lot of their flowers had kind of gone away. This thing used to be covered in flowers, but I think it got a little bit tired. What I'm hoping is going to happen is that it like takes a break, grows some roots, grows some greenery, and then does another flush of flowers. Because when this thing was in full bloom, it was so pretty and so cheerful. So yeah, crossing my fingers for both of these guys and hoping for the best. Then in this big bed here, I have what I'm considering my main attraction, which are my cotton plants. Last year, I received some cotton seeds from a friend of mine, and these were seeds that came from a cotton plant that had already grown in New Jersey, so it was already kind of acclimated to this specific climate. So I was like, I wonder if I could grow that on my rooftop, and I did, and it went amazingly. I have a huge basket of cotton fiber that I'm still in the process of processing and turning into yarn. That is a very slow going process, and that will be a video eventually. But now spring has rolled around again, and I definitely wanted to grow some more just because they did so well last year. So here I have 15 cotton plants, 10 of which in the back 2 rows are the descendants of my white cotton from last year. So these are my own seeds from my own white cotton plants, and hopefully that means that they're gonna do pretty well and perform just as well, if not better than the ones last year. And then in this front row, I actually got something really special. I received an extremely generous gift from one of my subscribers named Christina Teague, and she sent me some Acadian brown cotton seeds from her own garden. Chris is from Louisiana, where these plants are native, and she grew them herself in her backyard. She harvested her cotton, she separated out the seeds, and then she sent me some in the mail, which was just so nice. And now I'm gonna try to grow them here in New Jersey, which my white cotton came from seeds that were grown in New Jersey, so I knew they kind of had a chance. I'm just gonna kind of hope they do okay on this roof. I mean, they're meant to be grown in Louisiana, which has much longer growing seasons and much hotter weather. But so far they actually seem to be doing okay. And I'm really excited about that because I might get some natural brown colored cotton. And something that I'm actually very excited about is that I'm actually going to be in Louisiana later this year. I'm going to New Orleans for Convergence. That's the Handweavers Guild of America conference that's going on. I'm teaching some classes. And I actually signed up for a tour that's all about Acadian cotton specifically. We're going to be visiting archives of historical Acadian cotton textiles. We're going to see looms. We're going to learn all about its importance to the New Orleans region. And I am so beyond excited about that. And what's kind of funny is that these plants are actually going to hopefully reach maturity around that time. So when I'm like starting to actually see the brown cotton form, I'm going to go get a chance to actually learn in like a lot of detail and a lot of depth all about the significance of this plant, and I'm so excited. I'm of course going to share all of that with you. So yeah, I have my white cotton, I have my row of brown cotton, and my little dream is that I think it'd be really nice to make a project that incorporates both of these together. Maybe like a weaving that features like a white ground with brown stripes just to let both colors sing. But first I have to actually successfully grow the plant, so we'll hope for the best there. Then you might notice that in front of this cotton there's like a big empty space right here, this big row. This is another one of my experiments where I decided to kind of like chaos sow a whole bunch of seeds for different types of dye flowers. I have Dyer's chamomile, I have Dyer's coreopsis, I have Mardi Gras coreopsis, and then I also have cinnamon coreopsis. I basically just took those seed packets and combined them all together in a bowl and then very generously sprinkled them all in this space right here. I also repeated this for 2 different little planters that I got as well, which are living in front of my wooden raised beds. So my ultimate goal with this is that I really want like an organic kind of like natural meadow look, but made up entirely of dye plants. Ideally, I'm going to be able to get some really beautiful yellow, orange, and red dyes from those flowers, and they're growing very, very slowly, but they are growing, and I'm hoping that they'll make some flowers soon. So yeah, I've got my cottons, I've got my little dye garden meadow, and they're all living happily together in my Vego garden raised bed, which is really cool because it actually has a self-watering floor underneath it, so these plants will always stay nice and hydrated, even up on my absolutely boiling hot roof. This video is not sponsored, but Vego Garden did gift me this bed, and I do have a discount code in this video's description if you want to check out some more of their products and help support my channel. I'll also include some other links down below for different seed starting equipment and like all the other things I'm using to make this garden possible. I'm really excited for this bed to hopefully be like absolutely thriving and flourishing very soon. It looks a little bit sad right now. It looks mostly just like a lot of dirt and a lot of mulch, but I'm hanging on. I'm holding on to hope. Okay. Next. Alrighty, so here in this long planter, I have some more of those Jolly Jester marigolds, but for some reason these are extremely unhappy. All the leaves turned like a very dark red purple, and they started making flowers, but I snipped those off to kind of tell them like, hey, you guys aren't ready to make flowers yet. Focus on your leaves. I think this is probably just like transplant shock, and I'm hoping that as they get kind of like more acclimated to this rooftop, they'll hopefully perk up a little bit and start making some more flowers again. So yeah, crossing my fingers for those guys. Here I have a blueberry plant, and this one is a baby blueberry. It's actually the second one I have on this roof. I have another one right here to my left. So I'll talk about blueberries when we get over there. So we got my blueberry. Here I have some more of those Hawaii marigolds. I really put those everywhere. These are actually the farthest along in terms of their flower production. Like they're actually slowly starting to open up and make flowers, which I'm so excited about. Then behind that, I have a cucamelon. This is one of those, like, I'm just growing this because it sounds delightful kind of plants. I went to a friend's house and she was growing a bunch of these, and so I got the chance to try a fresh off the vine cucamelon, and it is just the most delightful little plant. So I knew I needed to try to find some seeds and start them from seed myself. These plants are also called mouse melons because they just look like extra teeny tiny little watermelons, like perfectly sized for a mouse. And they kind of taste like a slightly sweeter cucumber. They have that like nice crunch. They make for a really nice snack. That one friend also made pickles out of them, and they were just so delightful. I'm excited to have some fresh snacks on the roof, some nice crunchy cucamelons. I'm also excited to potentially learn how to make pickles with these. They're very slowly starting to climb up this trellis and showing little signs of starting to flower, and I'm very excited about that. In a similar vein, I also have next to me a Bikino pepper plant, and these I actually also started from seed. These were also introduced to me by that same friend who introduced the cucamelons. She actually put these Bikino peppers, which are these super teeny tiny little peppers, she actually pickled these peppers with the cucamelons to make just like the cutest little tiny pickle jar ever, and that's pretty much what I'm aiming for. That's my big goal for this summer. So here on my right, I have a Bikino pepper that's going to make yellow peppers, and on my left over here, I have one that's going to make red. These kind of fall into the category of like not really relating to my creative textile practice in any way, but definitely relating to me just like wanting to build new skills. I've actually never made pickles before, so I thought instead of growing just like a traditional cucumber and making a traditional, you know, pickle TM, it might be fun to make some whimsical pickles and use that as a way to learn this skill. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see the next ones. So this corner right here is definitely the like dampest, darkest, shadiest part of my rooftop. And down here I have some more of those like chaos sown dye flowers from earlier, and they're definitely doing the best here versus in some of the other places where I put them. So what might end up happening is that I'm gonna just like let these get a little bit bigger and then transplant some of the flowers to some of the other places where it's a bit sparse. Then here in my wooden raised bed, this is now dedicated to weld. Weld is one of those plants that's been used for literally ever by humans to make yellow dye, and this is another one of the plants that I started from seed this season. The seeds for these were so tiny. It was some of the smallest seeds I feel like I've ever seen before. So my understanding about the way weld grows is that it takes 2 years before you can actually harvest it for dye. So the first year it's gonna stay kind of small, like a little rosette like this, close to the ground. And then the second year it's gonna go really big, and that's the part that you harvest for color. I'm really looking forward to that because it's gonna be a very different kind of yellow to the rest of the yellow dyes that I'm growing. This one is also historically known as being extremely color fast, extremely long lasting. It's just like a very dependable yellow. So I think having this alongside all the other yellows that I'm trying to grow this year is just going to be really interesting. I just have to keep it alive for 2 years and we'll see if I can do that. And then also here in the corner, I don't know how well you can actually see that because of the way I'm sitting, but I have a little pot of pansies. They're actually not looking too hot right now. Like I said, this is like the wettest, dampest, coldest corner. So I thought maybe putting my pansies here would give them a little bit of an extra kind of boost because they really like the damp and cold, but I think the heat wave kind of got to them. So I'll show you some pictures of when they looked big and beautiful. I actually got these pansies from a really amazing nursery that I stumbled across with my sister, and I'll put the name of the place here. We went very early in spring when it was very much pansy season over there, and I was just overwhelmed, like absolutely overwhelmed by the amount of pansies that they had. Pansies are some of my all-time favorite flowers. I just love their grumpy little faces and the way that it looks like they're kind of looking back at you. So seeing this insane quantity of pansies all in one place was just so mesmerizing. I may have shed a tear, and of course I walked around and I picked out some of my absolute favorite ones to bring home, and now I'm just trying to keep them going. I really hope they make a comeback. Also, when I was at Gasco's, they had a really good deal on pots. So you might notice I have a lot of these like really nice ceramic pots here on my roof, and ordinarily if you go to a garden center or like a Lowe's and Home Depot and try to buy some of these pots, they are really expensive. I've seen just like really simple pots for like $50, $60, $70, but no, at Gasco's, some of these biggest pots, like that one that my blueberry was in, it was literally $15. So of course, when I was there, I just like loaded my car up with pots, and that's like a lot of what you're seeing up here. So yeah, if you're in the New Jersey area and you want just like a really cool time at a really beautiful nursery, definitely check that one out. I'm really excited to go back sometime. Okay, now to the next ones. These are the last of my plants. We're almost done, and you will also definitely recognize some familiar faces here. So in this half barrel here, I have some more madder. I just wanted to grow a lot of it so I could have a lot of red dye. And also, given that I needed them to survive for 3 years, I thought like, okay, if one fails, at least I might still have another one. But they're both doing great, and I'm just like crossing my fingers and knocking on everything that they'll keep doing great. Next to it, I have another one of those Hawaii marigolds, and then here I have the other Piquino pepper. Like I said, that one over there is going to make yellow peppers, this one's going to make red peppers, and I'm really excited for some really fun and really cute little pickles. And then last but not least, I have my beautiful blueberry. I've had kind of a frustrating relationship with this blueberry so far. I bought it last year from a nursery, and last year it made a lot of leaves and a lot of branches and a couple blueberries, and then it just stopped making blueberries completely the rest of the season. I thought I gave it everything it needed. Blueberries like acidic soil, they like specific fertilizers, they like not too much water, not too little water. Like I really babied this thing. I mentioned some of these struggles on my last YouTube video where I did like a garden recap, and a couple of you guys left in the comments the really helpful note that some blueberry varieties like to have a companion blueberry to help with pollination. This one is supposedly a self-pollinating variety, so it doesn't necessarily need a friend, but I still got it one anyway. And I'm gonna see, this year it actually has some blueberries on it, and they look way better than last year's blueberries, so maybe it just like needed time, maybe it just needed to mature. But we'll see. I'll keep taking care of it. I'm willing to put in the work because I love blueberries. So, and I'll just keep going with these guys and just hope for the best. So that is everybody. Let's wrap up this video. Well, that just about concludes my early season garden tour, and I so far am very excited about how everything's going. I'm so far really happy with how this year's turning out. Even though we had a crazy heat wave, some of my plants are definitely showing a little bit of struggle because of that, but overall it seems like everyone's pulling through for the most part, and I'm just like crossing my fingers and hoping that we're gonna have a really good, really abundant harvest this year. We're gonna hopefully harvest some fiber, some color, some fun snacks. I'm gonna keep trying to grow some flowers, keep trying to attract some pollinators, and I'm just learning and growing as much as the garden is growing, and that to me is like the whole point in all of this ultimately. This garden has brought me such an immense amount of joy over the course of the past 2 seasons of having it. Before I dove into the world of textiles head first, I was actually a biologist and I specifically focused on animal care. My whole career was keeping animals alive and happy and thriving, and I kind of feel like not only is it wonderful to stand up here and just see like a ton of color and growth and joy, and like that in itself is already great for like my mental health and well-being, but it also scratches this itch of like, I want to learn everything I can about each plant. I want to learn exactly what each plant needs and how to like best provide it what it wants. I'm learning how to respond to their signals that they're sending me. I'm learning how to like make little adjustments to provide them with the best care that I can. So it's just like really enriched my life in a lot of ways, and I'm excited to just keep diving deeper and deeper down this rabbit hole. Anyway, I need to give these plants some water and also give myself some water because it is hot. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tagging along with me on this adventure, and hopefully you'll stick around for the future updates where I show you how this garden is doing and how it's growing. If you want to see some more of what I'm up to, both in the world of gardens and also in the world of textile and textile art, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!